I've seen people blame the student athletes for this. I've seen people blame the trooper. I'm going to tell you what I think about all this as a criminal defense attorney. First off, I think these two guys did part ways so that he could squeeze through. I think it's truly insulting that he comes after him, pointing his finger at them, blaming them for the contact that he caused. But what's truly alarming to me is thinking of this man out there on the street when there's not a college football game going on, when there's two men who are walking and he makes contact with, and we know that the story can't be that it was incidental. It's somebody's fault. You see, he's pointing at them. He's telling them it's their fault. And if it's their fault, and he says his shoulder hurts, guess what that is in the state of Texas? That's assault on a peace officer. That's a serious felony. And in a world where there's not always cameras, there's not always a game going on, these guys end up arrested for a felony in the state of Texas where he's saying they were in a restricted area. He went to go see what was going on. They shoulder checked him, causing his shoulder pain. They're both arrested for felony assault. And now it's his probable cause statement, his little write up against their word against his. And they're telling their defense attorney, he hit us. And the defense attorney is saying that's not how he painted the picture. Well, were you in a restricted area? Well, yeah, I jogged up there because I needed to decelerate. I thought I was going to hurt my hamstring, and my teammate went up there to check on me. I'm like, okay, so you were in a restricted area, and then did you make contact with his shoulder? Well, yeah, he actually made contact with us. That's not what he's saying. And all of a sudden, your situation where a prosecutor is prosecuting you for a criminal offense even though you did nothing wrong. This is exactly how innocent people end up in the criminal justice system, and then they're being given an offer. They're trying to make a decision. Do I take that probation or do I risk going to trial? He's going to come testify. It's terrifying.
Everybody want to be a nigga, but nobody want to be a nigga. How about that question?
I said I'm never coming back again. Next I stepped away from the mirror. I got my mind made up now, cause I can see the future much clearer. What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Subscribe or die trying. You see the thumbnail. More importantly, you saw the clip. I saw another clip of Bomani Jones talking about this. So I'm gonna add something that he said to it in the beginning. This is not surprising. This behavior isn't surprising. The guy in the clip, he talked about, like, man, what if this happened to people? It's not. I understand that he a white guy. He trying to spread it out. You know, the people of color, we all citizens. This is what cops do to black men, in a general sense. You know, I know a lot of y'all play the game where, you know, well, what are you doing? Nothing. This is the point. This is the point. Like, um, part of over policing. This is where it gets ridiculous. A football game. Like, for any of y'all that are football fans, do you remember the clip of Bo Jackson, you know, against Seattle Seahawks when you ran through the tunnel? So it's a few clips of football players who did that in games through the tunnel. Any of them running to the cops? Because the cops back then were smart enough to be racist when the cameras wasn't around. But we live in a society where people got so comfortable being corrupt that they do it with the body cam on, and they do it on national television. Like, listen, man, these are the type of people, these are the type of individuals that, you know, kick puppies, you know, shoot kids on purpose by mistakes when they raid a house. This type of, you know, mysteriously choke somebody to death in front of everybody, and everybody go, I don't understand what happened. This is that type of behavior. And the reason why I put the other clip behind it was because I'm trying to warn people when I say this. This behavior is gonna have consequences. Like, I know y'all think because, and this is the type of person this person is, you know, these people uphold the law and they have the badge. And what if you need a cop to come to your house? Don't nobody want him. Matter of fact, if y'all remember, what was that? It was the movie Crash. The movie Crash had basically something that's similar to what I'm talking about, where Terrence Howard and Tandy Newton, married couple, driving home, get pulled over by the police, uh, and the cop basically assaults his wife sexually with his partner right there in front of the husband, and like, so would you, so let me assault your wife on the job. I got the law on my side, and then fast forward, she gets in a wreck, and I think the car flips. I think it catches fire, if I'm not mistaken. And the cop, that same cop, is off duty, and he goes to the car to save her, and they recognize each other. He's trying to save her, and she's fighting him like, "Get the fuck off me!" You know what I'm saying? This is that type of behavior, because these are the same people that go, "What about the good people?" And we are this, and this is the same people that go, "Hey man, hold up, let me ask you something. What are good cops at in this situation?" See, he got to go home. He just got sent home. And people go, it's not a big deal. It's a nationally televised game. He's out of pocket. No, the big deal ain't really. The question is, how out of pocket you gotta be in your day-to-day life to be arrogant enough to do this on national television when you're doing quote unquote security at a football game. You mean the players ain't part of who you supposed to be looking out for the players, not trying to pick fights with them because your team loses. Personally, I think he got a parlay going and he losing money and he mad. That's how I look at it. But another part of this is this, like what Bomani Jones was talking about. And I don't know why I'm wearing a Bengals hat right after. You know what? That's a whole nother story. Whole nother story. Um, Bomani Jones was like, and y'all can believe this, but y'all can't believe black folks when we saying how these cops killing us. It's like interesting. But here's the other thing that strikes me about stuff like this. These, oh goodness, I'm sorry, because let me take a deep breath. This wouldn't have changed if it was a high school. If it was a Pop Warner game, this same behavior would be there. This is the behavior you saw with the cop and Kyron Lacey, getting people to lie and cause that whole problem at LSU. Same type of behavior. This is the same situation where some of y'all might not know. It's some cops like in Mississippi that just got indicted for basically being a drug ring. Thugs and gangsters. This is the same behavior um, that was brought up in L.A. about the cops who were in a gang, and they were and they were terrorizing black folks. This is the same, this Rampart scandal. This is the same behavior, NYPD scandal. If y'all ever seen the movie Usual Suspects, anybody, Quentin Tarantino, Benicio del Toro, uh, Kevin Spacey, Kaiser Soze. When the cops was doing when they robbed the cops who was basically running jewelry for the mob or some criminal organization, they were robbing those guys. That's a true. The cops getting caught doing that. That's a true story. I think that was in New Orleans. Most of the times when you see even easy shows, Chicago PD, pretty much every cop show. Now I think about it, every cop show you ever seen, there's episodes about corrupt cops, or corrupt cops are really pretty much part of the storyline because they're stars in the show. This happens all. This behavior is prevalent. This is psychopath behavior. Psychopath behavior. And but here's the interesting thing. If them young men would have turned around and started beating the brakes off of that cop, he'd have pulled his gun out and shot them on national television for picking a fight with them. They're not thinking about him because it's a game going on. They're not thinking, they're not thinking, oh damn, we got to deal with the cops on the field too. I know a lot of y'all don't think about Jim Crow, but this Jim Crow behavior, and people ignore it. And the issue isn't just that. Let me add this context to it. If you get on Netflix right now, you can um, watch a documentary about Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football, and see all the shady business that was going on with Johnny and around Johnny, and how people were profiting off of Johnny too. You get what I'm saying? And because there was white on white, white collar type crime, it's not a big deal. You get what I'm saying? It's not a big deal. But there was a lot of you know, cover ups that was going on. So that's part of the process that I had to talk about. And and the reason why I did the clip with the comment with the guy in it, because it's a white guy talking about it. He's a lawyer. Like, man, what happens if you go to court? We know what happens. Yeah, people like this lie, and people cover up for people like that, and then how can I say this nicely? And then 40 years later, when they're 72 years old, they got to come to Jesus moment. I want to be a better person. That, but some of them make their careers like this. If it would have went left, he would have got a promotion. If the players would have responded like he did, he would have got a promotion. He'd have been a national story. Oh, the cop who was standing his ground against the black Gamecocks. That's what the BB Gamecocks. You get what I'm saying? It'd have been that type of story. And it'd have been national news about how the players was out of pocket. But this stuff, like, this is normal. And everybody in America know this is normal behavior. The insecurity, just the stupidity. Now, if I was somebody that got arrested by him, hey man, this is what I'm talking about. Like, I need, somebody went to jail because of this cop. Hey man, let's bring this case back up. I told you he was a loose cannon. I told you this dude he was out of pocket. I told you. I'm telling you, he lies on his statements. He's an escalator. These are the type of people who believe that George Floyd died of fentanyl. It was the fentanyl in the system that stopped him from breathing. No, that's not what happened. When Oscar Grant got killed, it's this behavior. Like, let's just excuse it. And the reason I say y'all gonna keep pushing it with people, y'all don't realize, like, y'all really don't want the beef y'all looking for. You when people start going, you know what? I'm not finna. I can respect the law, but just because you got a badge on, that don't mean I'm gonna respect you with the badge. I'm gonna do you dirty. The badge is something else. You gonna get what you deserve now. You get what I'm saying? And that's what, like, y'all don't understand. That's where some people gonna start taking it, because this behavior is what y'all don't clean up. Like, because what are you gonna say? He's suspended for a couple of days. I had a bad day. Yeah. Matter of fact, before I go, Rebel Ridge, the movie that's with I want to say Michael Douglas and Aaron Pierre, is basically corrupt cops in Louisiana who act like this dude. But you tell me what you think, man. I'm gonna get out of here. Like, share, subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Peace.